For decades, the world followed a simple rule. If you wanted the best technology, you looked to developed countries like US or Japan. If you wanted innovation, you looked to Silicon Valley. And if you wanted to sell the technology to developing countries, you simply took the technology and made them a little cheaper. That was the formula and everyone accepted it. Until a small team of engineers in Bangalore, city of India, broke the rule. They built a machine that cost a fraction of existing machines. It was designed for India and built for India. And yet, it became so influential that business schools around the world still study it today. The machine wasn't a smartphone. It wasn't a rocket or a satellite. It was a portable ECG machine. Yes, you heard it right. Not that large bulky ECG machine you see in hospitals, but a small device that reads your heartbeat. And somehow, this simple machine forced global companies to rethink how innovation works. This is the story of $800 machine that changed the world. In 2006, a farmer named Gopal, living in a small town in India, complains about the chest pain to his family members. The next step was simple. They took him to the nearest clinic and the doctor advised to go to the nearest hospital and get an ECG first. But there was a problem. The nearest hospital with an ECG machine was hours away. But somehow they reached there. But the ECG test cost was way more than what his family can't comfortably afford. This wasn't a rare situation. It was the reality for millions. At the same time, India was facing a growing epidemic of heart disease. Cardiovascular disease was becoming one of the country's biggest killers. Doctors had the knowledge, patients needed help, but access to diagnostic tools remained limited. And Gopal's family raised an uncomfortable question. Why were life-saving machines still designed only for wealthy hospitals? At the same time, most medical devices followed a familiar pattern. Design them in developed countries, sell them to rich hospitals, then export them elsewhere. The machines worked beautifully, but they were built for a world with reliable electricity, large hospitals, expert technicians, and with big healthcare budgets. But India was a different reality. In India, almost all rural clinics operate with limited resources. Some experienced power cuts, others couldn't justify spending thousands of dollars on a single machine. The healthcare challenge was accessibility, not technology. And accessibility requires a different type of innovation. General Electric was already one of the largest medical technology companies on earth. It was around that time that GE's top leadership realized that cracking emerging markets like China, India, and Brazil would require a product portfolio specifically designed for these markets. This challenge eventually landed on the desk of GE healthcare engineers in Bangalore, city of India. As GE machines were used in leading hospitals worldwide, but now they faced a difficult question. Can we build a world-class ECG machine for less than $1,000? Not a stripped down or a low-quality version, a completely reimagined version. Many engineers laughed, but Team India accepted the challenge. What happened next didn't just change the healthcare in India, it changed how the world thinks about innovation. Team India identified and evaluated the problems they were facing for immensely scattered villages and rural markets. Millions of people lived in villages and small towns. Most advanced hospitals were located in cities. Even when a local clinic had trained doctors, many couldn't afford a $2,000 ECG machine. The engineers soon realized they weren't solving one problem, they were solving 5. Challenge 1: Power cut. The first obstacle was electricity. Many rural clinics experience frequent power cuts. Imagine diagnosing a patient and suddenly the electricity goes off. The test stops, the patient waits, the diagnosis is delayed, sometimes for several hours. A machine that depends entirely on wall power simply wouldn't work. So the team made an unusual decision. The new ECG machine had to run on batteries, not for a few minutes, but for an entire day of medical work. And that decision created another problem. Challenge 2. The battery and its weight. In those days, large medical machines used heavy battery systems, reliable but bulky. So they looked outside the medical industry. Instead of asking how do hospitals solve this, they asked how are millions of people carrying batteries every day. The answer was surprising, yet simple. Mobile phones. Inspired by advances in consumer electronics, the team used lightweight lithium-ion battery technology, making the machines portable enough to travel while still performing around 100 ECG tests on a single charge. The machine was getting lighter, but another expensive problem remained. Challenge 3. The printer. Every ECG machine needs a printer to print the patient's heartbeat. The team realized that traditional medical printers were surprisingly bulky and expensive. After so much of research and development, only thing came in hand is disappointment. One fine day, the engineers noticed something fascinating. There is another industry that had already solved a similar problem, and that is bus ticket machines. Every city bus in India carries a tiny machine which print thousands of tickets every day, cheaply, quickly, and reliably. So the team got an idea. If a bus could print tickets, why couldn't an ECG machine print heartbeat reports the same way? That single question became one of the smartest decisions in the entire project. Instead of expensive hospital-grade printers, the team adapted thermal printing technology inspired by India's bus ticket machines. This simple idea created a massive impact. Another big challenge which almost got overlooked was environmental durability. The machine wasn't just designed to be cheap, but it had to survive dust, massive heat, humidity, and transportation over rough roads. A premium hospital machine spends most of its life in an air-conditioned room. But this ECG machine had to survive and work after being carried in a jeep to a rural clinic. That's a powerful visual contrast that reinforces the idea of engineering for real-world conditions. Reducing the price wasn't as simple as using cheaper materials, because cheaper medical device can be dangerous. The challenge wasn't to build a cheap ECG machine. The challenge was to build an affordable ECG machine without compromising diagnostic quality, and this is where the story gets fascinating. Generally, most engineers solve problems by adding things. More technology, more features, more complexity. But the Bangalore team took the opposite approach. They started removing things which were not in use. Every feature was questioned, every component was challenged. Then came a breakthrough. The team reused proven technology from earlier GE systems, simplified the architecture, reduced unnecessary complexity, borrowed ideas from outside healthcare, and focused only on features that genuinely help doctors diagnose patients. After months of engineering, the impossible had become reality. And after 15 months of engineering and determination, the result was called the Mac 400, a portable ECG machine costing roughly $800, less than half the cost of many conventional machines, several times cheaper than many existing alternatives. It was compact and could operate on a battery power. It was portable, practical, and built for real-world conditions. Most importantly, it made cardiac screening accessible to places that previously couldn't afford it. This wasn't a luxury innovation, but could be called as excess innovation. The development took just 1.5 years from concept to completion, resulting in a 3-pound device that revolutionized global healthcare design. The GE Mac 400 officially came into the market in December 2007. It did not become an overnight sensation. Early sales were initially slow as doctors weren't adapted to the new ultra-portable format. But after some time, the machine quickly began spreading across small clinics, rural healthcare centers, community health programs, and mobile medical camps. Suddenly, doctors who previously lacked diagnostic tools had new capabilities. Patients gained access to screening closer to where they lived, and millions of people benefited from more affordable cardiac machine. Millions of cardiac patients in remote villages gained access to affordable heart screening that would have been far more difficult before. And that really matters, because sometimes the biggest healthcare breakthrough isn't a miracle drug, it's simply getting existing healthcare to more people. At this point, everyone expected the machine to remain an Indian story. But it didn't. Something unexpected happened. The same features that made the machine perfect for India also made it useful elsewhere. Like remote communities, rural healthcare systems, developing economies, emergency medical teams, even developed countries discovered situations where affordability and portability mattered. And suddenly, a product designed for India started finding customers around the world. Innovation had reversed direction. For decades, innovation flowed from rich countries to developing countries. Now it was moving the other way, India to the world. And suddenly, business leaders started paying attention. Researchers started studying the phenomena, and business schools started teaching it. Innovation experts gave it a name, reverse innovation. The idea was revolutionary. Instead of designing products in wealthy countries and exporting them elsewhere, design solutions where the problems are greatest. Then take those solutions to the world. And perhaps this is the most important part of the story. People often think innovation comes from abundance. More money, more resources, more technology. But India has repeatedly shown something different. Constraints can be a superpower. When resources are limited, people become creative. When infrastructure is imperfect, solutions become practical. When budgets are small, every decision matters. This mindset has produced countless examples of frugal innovation. The Jaipur Foot, low-cost space missions, digital public infrastructure, affordable healthcare technologies, and the MAG 400 belongs on that list. Because it proved a powerful idea. Great innovation isn't about spending the most money, it's about solving the biggest problem. If you enjoy stories about hidden innovations, systems, and ideas that shape our lives, consider subscribing. I have got many more stories like this coming. Thank you.